Now, let's talk about the different exit strategies when it comes to wholesaling specifically. What we've been talking about mostly has been the assignment strategy. Now, with the assignment strategy, it's a very simple process. Very simple process where you don't have to close on or sign any documents yourself. You're simply the middle person putting a seller and a buyer together. And once that deal closes, you get paid. In the example we just shared, you contracted the property for $100K, you sold your deal to the buyer for $150, you walk away with a $50,000 payday. And you did it using this simple purchase agreement and a simple assignment contract. Now, when the title company sends the closing documents to both the seller and the buyer, they're also using a simple one-page HUD. And all the numbers and financials for this simple transaction are on this HUD. Guess what else is on that HUD? Your fee, your $50K. Do you think the seller or the buyer might have an issue with you making so much money on that one deal? Let me see. Do you think the seller or the buyer might have an issue with you making so much money? Let me see. You guys think so? Yeah, probably. The buyer's gonna be like, yo, I don't think you worth 50 grand. First of all, I take insult to that, take offense to that. So I worked my butt off to find this amazing deal. I negotiated a heck of a deal. Who are you to tell me how much money I should make on this deal, first of all, right? You think the seller might have an issue with this? Sure, they might. They're thinking to themselves, bro, I could have sold this house for $50,000 more. So how do you avoid that? How do you get around that? Well, this is where option 2, exit strategy number 2 comes into play, which is double closing. Check this out. If you want to hide how much money you're making on your transactions and deals, you can have the option, and by the way, you, the wholesaler, decides if you want to use any of these strategies. You are the one in control the entire time. It is up to you if you go with option 1 or option 2. No one else's decision but yours. You are the one controlling this deal. So if you want to hide how much money you're making on this deal, you simply go with the double close strategy. Here's how this works. Pay very close attention to this. This is where, in an A-B scenario, you are going to create a separate transaction, right? So this transaction over here between you and the seller and you and the buyer, you're going to separate both of those. You're going to create 2 separate transactions. So in the assignment transaction, it's usually one transaction between the seller directly and the buyer. Only those 2 people sign the closing documents, and they both see all the numbers on the deal. But in a double close scenario, you take that one transaction and you turn it into 2 separate transactions. And so now this AB transaction over here is only between you and the seller. This BC transaction over here is between you and the end buyer. But to do this double close scenario, you have to have money, right? Your advisors, Sharon, Stephen, Anthony, they're going to tell you, you need to have some money, right? How are you going to close this deal to make 50 grand? You're going to have to come up with $100,000 to close this deal. How many of you, let me see in the chat real quick. How many of you, if you knew you can make $50,000 today or tomorrow on this deal, how many of you in the chat could come up with $100,000? How many of you could be resourceful enough to come up with $100,000 today? Let me see in the chat real quick. All right, let me see. How many of you can be resourceful enough? I want to see. Producer mindset, okay? A couple of you say me. I'm dead serious. I'm not talking some foo-foo stuff here. I'm dead serious. Like, you got a real deal on the line, on the desk, in your pipeline right now. How many of you can come up with 100 grand today, borrowing it from a resource, borrowing it from friends and family, retirement account, maybe you have it on credit cards, I don't care. 100 grand today, knowing that you can make 150 grand tomorrow on this one deal, okay? I can. Or be resourceful, creative enough to come up with 100K, knowing you're gonna make 50K on the back end within 24 hours, okay? So some of you are saying, oh, look at this guy over here. He said easy. Easy, light work, okay. We got a baller in here. He got a whole bunch of money, right? So some of you are saying, yes, you can come up with 100K. Some of you are saying, no, okay. No problem. But we're resourceful, right? We're resourceful. So let's talk about this for a minute. This is where specific type of lenders come into play to help you get these deals done. Remember I talked about those lenders that don't give a damn about your credit. They don't care how much money you got in your bank account. In fact, they're not even going to ask you for a bank statement. They don't care if your bank account's in the red. They don't care if you even have one. They're not going to ask you for tax returns, bank statements, or income verification, employment verification. None of that matters. This is where you tap those lenders when you have a deal like this that you want to double close on to help you close your deal, help you get these transactions done. Okay? Now, these lenders are called transactional lenders. Write that down. Transactional lenders.